In episode 7, Leighton, Ruth, and Roach go to meet with Bach after everything that went down, and they realize that Wilfred has to have somebody on their side of the train. Till knows that people are going to blame the tail, and she wants to make it right. And Leighton instructs her to prove that it wasn't the tail to get vindication for the tailies. Roach lets him know that they shut the border down, but they also know that it's only a matter of time before everything boils over. Pastor Logan is in there trying to console Bach, hands him a St. Christopher medal for protection, and tells Till that he's going to take him back to the tea room and keep an eye on him. So Till heads off to try to prove that it wasn't the tail, while Leighton heads off to have Ruth fill him in on what happened with Miss Audrey. Zara points out that they still don't have access to Big Alice's comms, and maybe she turned back to finish the job. But the fact is, this whole thing looks like a defection, even if it isn't. So Leighton and Ben get in contact with Big Alice, and Wilfred is reveling in the fact that they just dealt with 8 murders. They ask to speak to Audrey, who is taking a bath, and when she shows up, they ask if she's okay, aka, is he holding you against your will? And she says, no, I'm fine. They let her know, well, we'll open up the border for you since you missed curfew. But Audrey says, not yet, and Wilfred shuts off the communication. Not happy with her answer and telling her that wasn't good enough. She says, I stayed. Isn't that what you wanted? But he says, no, I want you with me, and I mean really with me. She tells Wilfred, you can trust me, but he pulls out a screwdriver and says, oh, can I? I found this. What is it for? Because what I think it's for is to mess with our comms so that they can listen in on our conversations. And she admits that that's what it was for, but she tells him, I didn't do it. And I also didn't stay to complete the mission. She stayed because of Wilfred. But he snatches her arm and says, I don't believe you. I want to show you something. Taking her shortly down the hall to where Sykes is standing guard of a locked door, and you can hear screaming coming from the other end. And right before they go in, Wilfred informs Audrey that the person in there is a member of his crew, but they've kind of lost their way. And when he opens the door, it's Kevin, who survived the suicide attempt. And as soon as Wilfred walks in, Kevin is yelling at Wilfred to just leave him alone. And Wilfred looks at Audrey and says, fix it, wanting her to work the magic that she worked in the night car on Wilfred. So Audrey tries to get to work. But after Wilfred hung up on them, Leighton, Ben, and Ruth realize that now they need to plan like Audrey isn't coming back. And the other issue is, while they want to get her back, they can't trust her. To make matters worse, the unrest that they were worried about has already started. Everybody in third class thinks that it was the tailies that killed all the breachmen. And because of this, a bunch of the tailies meet up and realize that they're all spread out. They need to get everybody back to the tail for safety. So the last Australian and Zrek head up train and try to find any tailies that they can to let them know we got to get back. While in third class, in walks Bach. And immediately the last Australian tells him, man, I didn't do this, but Bach doesn't care. He starts throwing the tailies around. And this results in Breachman and Bach getting arrested again, this time by Roach. And Ruth has met Bach and Roach down train to see what was going on, and Roach makes comment, we never should have let him go with Logan. But Ruth's big concern is what's going on with the train. She asks Roach, how worried are you? Because we had order for 7 years, and now we have this. And Roach tells her, we had order, but do you want to do that job again? Taking arms, treating the tail like a gulag? And the answer is no. So they go inform Leighton as to what happened, and he realizes he has to address the train. And he does it, but he does a really bad job. He puts all the blame on Wilfred, taking all of the blame off of the tail, saying whoever did this wants to divide Snowpiercer. He urges everybody, remember, we're one train, we fought for this. But unbeknownst to him, his pitch is actually backfiring. People that fought with him are saying we didn't fight for this, and all of a sudden, tailies are under attack. So when he's done, Ruth and Zara are waiting for him, and Ruth lets him know, I don't think that's going to go the way you planned. And Leighton tells her, I had to defend the tail. They don't have anybody else to speak for him right now. And she reminds him that bringing Wilfred into this makes everybody pick a side. But Leighton did what he thought was right. Now, all the tailies are trying to get back to the tail, all but one, and that's Pike. He is messed up, and everybody can see it. He is casually just eating food, acting like nothing's wrong, when Leighton finds him, telling him, you probably should get back to the tail. But Pike says, no, I'm good right here, because I did the numbers and I checked the scale, and everything's tipping towards Pike right now. He does, however, put on his headphones and start packing up, but he starts walking the wrong way, and Leighton has to let him know, no, bud, the tail's that way. And Zara catches the tail end of this, and Leighton tells her, I think I broke Pike. Leighton then goes to meet up with Till, and Till has been on a hot pursuit trying to figure out who orchestrated the attack. She has a clue, and that's a button that she found at one of the murder scenes. So she hits up LJ and Osweiler to ask them if they have any idea about the button, and LJ doesn't give her the time of day. She doesn't even look at the button, just saying, no, I don't know anything about it. But Osweiler actually helps her, letting her know that there's a woman who sells antiques who probably knows all about it. So Osweiler takes Till to her, and the woman has basically a shrine to Wilfred. She used to know Wilfred when he was a child, so she watched him grow up into this powerhouse. And she also is well aware of what the button's from. It's from a jacket. But the jacket that she has all the buttons on it. Her grandson, however, lets Till know that they recently traded a jacket for a fur coat to a tall woman in first class. And Till knows exactly who that woman is. And it's Eugenia. So Layton meets up with Till and Roach as Till confronts Eugenia about this accusation. And it's not a good look for Eugenia. She has a black eye that she's covered up with makeup, but the clincher is the fact that her jacket is missing a Wilfred button. Right before she's arrested, though, she gets right into Till's face and says, "You think you're so smart, but you're always 2 steps behind, because this train needs change. The revolution is starting right now." And Till recognizes that phrase. She also recognized the St. Christopher medal that Eugenia is wearing. So Till lets Layton know, "I'm pretty sure I know who orchestrated all of this, and it's Pastor Logan." But Eugenia isn't wrong. The civil unrest is getting worse and worse by the minute. It's even affected hospitality, where Ruth and Zara are walking around when a bunch of people want to attack Zara because they recognize her from the tale. It forces Ruth and Zara to hide out in a medical car, where Ruth realizes that she's not in there alone with Dr. Pelton because there are a bunch of other tailies in there, like Lights and the little girl Winnie. And when Winnie sees Ruth, she immediately hides in fear. And Ruth can't understand why, and Lights reminds her, "It's because you took her mother's arm. It resulted in her mother dying. Her brother died in the revolution, and I'm all she has left, so she's terrified of you." And Ruth is kind of mortified about the fact that a child is scared of her. She asks Zara to call for an escort, and when he comes, he lets her know that it's not a great time to leave. It's still not safe. But as Ruth is trying to think about what to do next, everybody in the car realizes that Winnie is gone. She's stuck out. And Lights wants to go out there to find her, but Ruth lets her know, "You can't. It's not safe. I'll do it." And Winnie was just casually walking around the cars, not realizing what was going on, when she came across Pike. But then very shortly after, Pike was attacked by a bunch of people. He was actually kidnapped. And this caused Winnie to flee. She actually ended up hiding out in the same spot that LJ and Alex went to when they hung out the night of the party. And it doesn't take long for Ruth to find Winnie. But when she does, Winnie is still hiding from her. And at first, Ruth tries to tell her that you don't have to be scared of me, but then she feels like she probably should apologize. So she does that, telling her that it wasn't right that she took her mom from her so early, and trying to commiserate with her, telling her, "I lost my mom at a young age too." And eventually after this apology, Winnie does come out, and Ruth is able to get Winnie safely back to the medical car. But as she's doing that, she runs into Layton, who's running down train, and she asks what's going on, and Layton lets her know they have a tailie as a hostage. So she drops off Winnie, and along with Layton, the two both head down train, where the third-class passengers have Pike, and they're ready to freeze his arm. And Layton steps in saying, "Whoa, you don't have to do this. Take my arm. You guys want me. I'm the one who did this. Go ahead. Sacrifice my arm." And even Pike tells him he doesn't have to do it, but Layton's trying to be a leader. And the third-class passengers are more than willing to do that. They're fully ready to freeze Layton's arm and smash it off. That is until Ruth speaks up, saying, "We don't do this. That is your leader, and if you don't want him, enact change. But don't strip him down and mutilate him just because you can, because trust me, you will never be the same again if you do that. This isn't the way. Not anymore." And Layton is partly saved by that speech, but also because somebody comes in and lets him know that the brakemen are coming down train, so everybody flees. Although you get the feeling this isn't over. Now, while all this is going on, Till went to go visit Pastor Logan, calling him on his bullshit, saying, "Was it all an act? I mean, you lied to me." He says, "Well, I never lied to you. You just weren't ready to hear the truth. You were so desperate for something to hold on to, something to believe in, and I wanted to help you." And she's kind of in disbelief and says, "You killed 8 people. But he says, "That's a small price to pay for peace. You just have to suffer for a moment to get to our salvation." But Till's sick of listening to this guy and punches him, beating the crap out of him. He's only saved when one of his minions comes up behind Till and chokes her out. And Logan goes flinging in the next room. Till is able to free herself and beat up Logan's minion, and when she goes to arrest Logan, he's trying to commit suicide, hooking up a bag around his head to a tube connected to the outside, basically frostbiting his head. Till is able to stop it, but some damage is already done. He's alive, but his face is pretty badly frostbitten. And then finally, over in Big Alice, Audrey works all day on, quote, helping Kevin, showing him her suicide scar as well, trying to hammer home what Wilfred was hammering home to her in the night car. The fact that Wilfred, quote, saved her, or in this case, saved Kevin. Although Kevin doesn't buy that at all. But she keeps hammering it home, that he was useless without Wilfred, he needed Wilfred, Wilfred saved him. And eventually, Kevin just breaks. When he does, Audrey escorts him into Wilfred's car, and to show Wilfred just how broken Kevin is, she instructs Kevin to lick his slipper, and Kevin does that. They then tell Kevin that he can kick rocks, and the two share a nice little kiss. It's a beautiful moment. But the best part of Wilfred's day comes at night. He even invites Alex in for this. As the train is circling this track, he's able to see a bunch of the other cars, and there are a ton of cars that have lit red lanterns, which is indication we want Wilfred. And it's a sign that everything he did down in Snowpiercer getting those 8 people killed, creating the unrest is working in his favor. And with this sign that people want him back, he tells Sykes, prepare Icy Bob. It's time. And Layton also sees it, and he now knows that he has a problem. Thanks for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to this channel. Like the video if you liked it. Hit thumbs down if you don't. Be nice in the comments section. Nasty comments hurt my feelings. I work hard on these. If I make a mistake, it happens. If you don't see the next video up in the end screen, it'll be up soon. Sharing is caring. Put it on your MySpace page or your away message. And check out my podcast, Scene Invaders, wherever you listen to podcasts.